You
Yep.
have to have a routine. That's what keeps you in line and on schedule.
Okay, so let's step back a little bit and
Okay.
kind of go through what your background is. So, if I have the information correct, you are a real estate agent out of Southwest Missouri. I saw some of the listings, by the way, phenomenal homes. And what caught my attention too with that is the price points are a wide range. That's interesting in itself. You're dealing with a lot of different personalities and different income levels and things like that, which takes the conversation and the pressure and stress at different levels, probably depending on where you are at the stage of the sell point.
Yes.
And then you are also a fitness instructor. That's how you and I know each other. You have been one of my spin class RPM type style instructors for at least 2 or 3 years now. And whether or not I go routinely is another issue in itself. But that intrigues me just from maybe tackling some of the stress topics from a fitness level side related kind of topics, as well as the work related topics that deal with stress. Okay.
I've been both. I've been both a fitness instructor and realtor for 25 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So you've seen the industries change in their own ways, which is a whole other point of view as well. So how, I guess starting off as how do you define success from a work related standpoint? Do you find it from a monetary aspect, gratification? I'm just curious to know how you do that, because that's actually a stress relief, right? So
Right.
how would you define that?
I have always taken it from a gratification standpoint. I tell every single buyer and seller, regardless of price point, that I do this because I love it. I do it because I like to help people. I think maybe 5 times in 25 years, I've taken a full commission. Because if it comes down to I'm helping someone by taking $500 off to help someone out to get a deal done, I'm always willing to be that, because I'd rather get referrals down the line for being kind and generous than being greedy and obnoxious.
Yeah, well, it comes back around, I'm sure, with,
Mhm.
as the either buyers or sellers are talking to their friends,
Yeah.
credibility out in the field is everything, isn't it?
Yes, very much so.
So with that note, then how do you define, in your own way, there's no right or wrong answer, it's just your opinion kind of thing, but how do you define a negative stress or a failure of some sort in that line of work? I mean, there's the obvious, didn't get a sale, but
There are times where I've had to be humbled. And I think that when you are humbled to a degree where someone is so mad at you over something that really wasn't your fault, but you get the brunt of it. I had a deal a few years ago that I thought we were like the best of buddies, an older couple, and come to find out the husband's a super big narcissist. And 2 offers came in on this house at the same time, and he was out in the deer woods. And so he only got the first offer, and his wife signed the first offer. And then another better offer came in afterwards, and he didn't see that, and he blamed me that I lost them money.
Hmm.
And I lost my entire real estate commission of $13,000.
Oh,
So I
wow.
paid no money, got bad reviews, and I have it written literally on my computer. You cannot sell one house to 2 people. Because it was back in 2020 when everything was moving so fast. And I personally was on my way out the door to go to my brother's surprise 40th birthday party. I got my family staying in here waiting on me. So I have pressure from all different areas. And I made a huge mistake by not just saying, you all go, I'll be right there. But still, it's learning how, I could have probably just shipped it off to one of the brokers and said, I need you to handle this. I've got this to do. I'm very hands-on with everything. And so
Sure.
when I was in a rush, I made a big mistake and it cost me. So that was very humbling. And I never spend my money before I make it. So that's always number one rule.
Yeah, sure.
But it was hard because the wife and I got along very well. And I kind of saw how she was treated after the whole scenario. And I just took that and learned from it. It's always a learning lesson to take my time. Don't rush something. We've got time in this business. I know time is of the essence, but it needs to be on my client's time, not on my time all the time. So I had to take that negative stress and kind of just regenerate it other places. I've only
Yeah.
had two really bad instances.
Yeah, it's interesting from, especially if you're in sales and trying to conduct, either if you're your own business owner or on the front end dealing with customers and clients, understanding what their expectations are is so valuable, and you don't always have that luxury of knowing ahead of time.
Oh,
And that is, that's part of that stress that comes into play after the fact. And I sure know that that has been one of the key things. If you have that that ability to reach out and communicate with them and understand, I one of the most stressful things for me as a home seller, I've bought and sold a few homes and condos kind of thing, is being the seller at the beck and call of the potential buyer that wants all these sudden changes. And to me, that's usually when I feel the stress. It's like I'm at the point, do I want to make the change? Do I just let it
yeah.
go?
Oh, yeah. I've got a seller right now. They're very good friends of mine. And within the first 24 hours of being on the market, it's 925,000 and we got a $900,000 offer. And they said no. And I'm like, why? You've moved out of the house. It's sitting there vacant. Why wouldn't you take that? And they're like, we'll just wait. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah, I mean,
you're just,
that's,
you're gonna have to keep reducing the price of your house now. You could have just taken this offer in the first place, but now we're just gonna sit and wait.
yeah, it just depends on how bad they want to sell or they want to buy.
Mhm.
It depends on which side of they're on.
And
But
you can't pressure them. You really
no.
have to be that advocate of, okay, that's your house, man. Whatever you want to do, you hired me. I'll do whatever you want me to do.
Well, and that to me is the difference of a good realtor and someone that's just trying to get in and out. They're not really helping. They're not really volunteering additional information, and it's a struggle then if you don't have that kind of communication, which is kind of interesting in itself.
Well, one of the things we do on our team when we hire someone, we always tell everybody has to take the DISC assessment.
Oh yeah,
So everyone has to take that. And that way we know personally who we are and how to communicate with every single buyer and seller that we meet. Because
yeah,
you learn how to read who they are. I'm a high I and I'm a high S. And what's funny is everyone thinks I'd be a really high D, and I'm not. I just want everybody to get along. And I want to I'm very compliant. I like rules. I like all that kind of stuff. And I'm very big on that. And so it's good that we take that because we teach all of our new agents that this is how you read every buyer and seller. You have to pay attention to that and kind of see where they're at. Because if they're an accountant, they're going to be a totally different ball game than over here. They're definitely going to be a big C. They're
right.
going to be attention to every little thing. And if you are that kind of person, you'll get along with them really well. I get along with
Well,
lawyers, accountants, things like that really well.
well, and that's what allows you to adapt as well. I find that I'm familiar with DISC as well, the DISC profile assessments, and you can almost change some of the way your behavior is to fit a quadrant to communicate to what you
Yep.
need to do. If you understand those four different types of quadrants, becomes very valuable. So, okay, so changing the subject a little bit here, more towards the health side of the business. Do you have like a set of a method or process for your daily disciplines? Is there a certain meal or size of meal or activity that you do to kind of get yourself amped up, or does Charity just kind of wake up and go and game
Um,
on kind of mentality?
Kind of wake up and go. But I keep notes like every buyer's written down with what they want. And it's next to my bedside. So the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, my husband thinks I'm on social media, but I'm actually on our multi-list app. And I'm looking to see what came on the market from midnight to when I wake up at 7
Mm,
that might fit
yep.
my clients.
Mm-hmm.
So I can immediately send and share it. And they're like, where did that come from? And I'm like, well, I was on. That's the first thing I do in the morning. Flat out. First thing I do in the morning, look at MLS. I look at our MLS at least every 30 minutes because even from 1:30 to 2 o'clock, there's gonna be 15 more houses hit the market. And your client isn't really sitting there looking like we are.
Right.
I'm always looking, because if it's something I can send immediately, then that's the first thing I do.
Yeah, I would imagine, especially a buyer, they know sometimes where to look, but not the frequency of the changes and things. It sounds like.
Yeah, and I have all my
Pretty
buyers
low-fi.
set up through my website on a list of items. So if it does hit the website, it hits them, and then it carbon copies me on it. So I'm seeing what they're seeing, or I can see what they're saving, and I can reach back out and say, hey, I saw that you like this house. And I mean, I've got a lot of looky-loos that I'm like, oh, so-and-so came on the website. I can immediately email them. No one emails me back. But I figured one day they're gonna be like, this lady is really persistent. I might
Right.
as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
so going to this topic that caught my attention when we were talking a couple of weeks ago, I really find that this is kind of this will be an issue that actually I will start to tackle a little bit deeper going forward, and it is shifting focus from intense meetings to ramping up to doing whatever that next task is. And in your case, you're face to face 1 minute, jump into a car, you're thinking about what you just did, and slowly getting to the point of what you have to prepare for. And all of a sudden at the health club, you're face to face again. You're on, it's that constant on kind of feel, which that in itself can be, it's not high pressure, but it's a burn a little bit. I don't know if burn's the right word, but when you're on, totally different world than if you were walking into the health club and you're doing your own workout. That's kind of what I'm comparing this to. Individuals and
Yeah,
members
for
of the
me,
gym club. Yeah, go ahead.
it's huge. Yeah. I mean, I'm more motivated. If I know I'm going to be teaching a class, I can switch into that mode way faster than being motivated to just go work out.
Yeah.
One of the best things, though, I do love about, like with Les Mills, not to shamelessly plug them, but all of our stuff is pre-choreographed. So I memorize all of that, which is great for my brain, because I know contracts inside and out. But I get a new release, I have to memorize every little thing that's in it. And so that's helped me. I start listening to that music the minute I get in the car. So once you have it memorized, I can pull something out from 15 years ago and still know what it is. And for me, I put that music on in the car on my way to the gym, and it's on. And then I kind of read the room. Like what was it? Tuesday, I had 6 guys, 1 girl that came in late, 2 girls that came in late, having problems with their bikes. And I'm already on. And I'm just like, I know who they are that wants the biggest workout. So I might just change it up and be like, this is going to be extra hard today because they're here for a harder workout. If I am quiet in class, that's probably because, like, quieter than normal, it's probably because I did have something in my meeting, or I've got something immediately after class I have to go to, and my brain's still thinking about that. So that's a good thing to know. If I'm actually quiet and something, she's got something going on that's afterward. Especially immediately afterwards, if I'm meeting with a new client or I've got to go to a listing appointment. Sometimes in the warm up, I'm not talking much because I'm thinking about that. And then I have to tell myself, stop, you're in this moment. You have to stay in this moment, because my phone's on do not disturb. And I have 45 minutes of paying customers to our gym that they're here for a great workout. And that's my job.
I assume your schedule is, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, and then it helps, it releases a lot of stress for me.
Right. Okay.
So.
Yeah, I would think your schedule is similar to most other realtors, where it can be extremely early in the morning or late at night, depending on what your client needs to see or do or whatever. And so it's not just going from work to the gym. Could be in the middle of the day and you're going from the gym back into work. And I think that's what you were alluding to earlier. It's like, wait a minute, now you're having to go back in and think about who you're either about to meet with or what you said in your past meeting with those individuals. So,
and that's why I don't teach night classes anymore, because at 5 o'clock, my phone starts to ring even more, because that's
People are off work. Yeah. And they've got the time to search. Yeah.
And I was like, I can't teach a 5:30 class because I might have somebody. I was always subbing my classes because that's when people wanted to go look at houses. And I know we have another realtor that teaches classes as well, and she teaches the 6 a.m. classes.
So she's on the other end of the spectrum on that
Yeah.
time slots. I see. Do you notice, looking at the gym members that take your class? So you do, I think you're kind of answering some of that from before. The intensity from the members, you kind of, I would assume you see a big difference on, with certain members versus those that are just kind of killing time in the gym itself versus.
If they're coming to a noon class, they're there to work out. If they're coming to my Saturday morning class, they're there to work out. So I have always had those good time slots where people are limited on their schedule. They want to get it in, they want to make sure it's good and get back to work. And that's I'm like, yeah, I'm with you. We're all in this together. Let's get a good workout in.
Yeah, no, it's you bring some good intensity, and that's why I've always taken your class when I can. Because not all the instructors are the same kind of thing. And so, everyone's a little different.
That's probably why I'm more injured than most of them, because I just don't know how to not be intense.
Is there a discipline or anything that relates to, your diet, hydration, sleep, the way you breathe, or meditation, anything along that line from the fitness side that you do or try to do or strive to do that kind of keeps you going?
I don't meditate. I do pray and read my Bible in the morning. That's the second thing that I do. Okay. After I look at Flex, I have my time with that. I drink water all day long. So, take my vitamins, all the things. I'm a cancer survivor, so I have all these pills I got to take and all that jazz too. So, no, I'm just high energy. I go to bed at like 10, wake up at 6, get my 8 hours in.
It's interesting. You're already on a real good routine, and I'm by all means no expert, but there's some basic things you don't have to be an expert on to realize that, if you don't get enough sleep, you're going to pay for it. If you don't drink enough water.
The more older you get, the more sleep. I remember, I used to be like 4 or 5 hours of sleep, and I'm like, man, if I don't get more than 6 hours of sleep, my day's going to drag. Yeah. And then like at 3 o'clock, I'm getting tired, and I don't drink. I gave up energy drinks and all of that stuff. I did a 21-day fast and just kind of kept with it. So I don't drink coffee, nothing like that. I just drink water all day.
One of the things that you mentioned, an injury, and one of the things that I find kind of amusing right now for myself, and I know there's got to be other people out there that go through it too, is I'm calling it, confronting your excuses. And some excuses are legit. If you're injured and you can't move, or you're going to continue to prolong the injury, that's a bad move. Everyone knows that.
Yep.
But I also have certain excuses, whether I'm extremely tired, don't want to go in. Am I really injured that bad? Is it going to work it out if I go into the gym, or is it going to re-injure it? Is it lack of motivation, schedule conflicts, traveling for business has been probably some of my biggest excuses. Is I'm either just gone and it throws me off the routine. I'm curious to know, especially I didn't realize you had the 25 years of experience. With that experience, do you recommend something that allows you to, confront the excuse, and what makes you decide, okay, whatever that excuse is, as long as it's not injury, you got to go in to that gym and try to work out, stay on that schedule? What's your thought about that?
Like when it comes to injuries, since I've had so many of them, I will still make myself go in, and maybe I'm just going to be at the gym. I'm just going to stretch. Like right now I've got tendonitis in my hip. So I'll go in and just do some stretching exercises, because when I'm at home, not as motivated. The gym is very motivating for me. So if it's just 30 minutes of going in and stretching and maybe doing some ab work, I did something.
Okay.
And that's just, or because I love teaching so much, I'm sure you've been in one of my classes when I've been injured and I'm not on that bike.
Right.
I can still yell at you. I'm still there. And unless you're new, you know what I'm going to say. So I taught a class, I think you're in the class maybe 2 Tuesdays ago. It was a harder class because I'm not having to exert anything, but I would pick every single hard track that I could and made you guys do it. And because someone was like, that was so, why is that so extra hard? I'm like, because I wasn't having a heavy breathe or do it. I'm
Right.
walking you through it. So I'm still there. Like I hardly ever give up a class because I'm like, I can still be there to do something.
I really appreciate you taking time away from your day to just jump online and answer some of these questions. It's more just from the curious level and allow people to think about what their own situation is and how they can adapt to these kind of situations as well. And, any kind of insight that can help others, and then help my journey, all the better kind of thing. So I really appreciate your help on this. So
You're welcome.
thanks again.
I
All
think,
right. So
I think
what's
routine
that?
routine.
Yeah.
People
Yep.
have to have routine. That's what keeps you in line and on schedule.